WEFUNK. We funk.
Those are the best picture.
Those are the movies of the Oscars 2019.
Yeah, those are all the big ones with all the subcategories attached to them. Those were some of the snubs that we have for this. But now I think it's time to maybe take a closer look at our official picks for some of these things.
Closer look.
Closer look, closer look, closer look. Break out the telescope, then the microscope. All of your other scopes, it's exactly what you hold. We're gonna look real close. Take a closer look, closer look, closer look.
And speaking of snubs, no closer look for best original song.
I mean, he's gonna have to settle for his Grammy. That I'm assuming he won last week. I'm not sure, but
I need Andre Davi to be an EGOT winner, baby.
I'm going to Broadway, y'all.
That's the Tony. That'll be the Broadway show. I see.
I'm Andre Dove. I'm Andre Davi. Andre Davi.
I meant more of like
Andre
he does the
Dove.
music for much like Bono with the fucking Spider-Man show. Fucking Andre Davi, the Geeked Up musical. Now we're on to something. But welcome to the closer look. And like we said, we're taking a closer look here at our picks for some of the Oscar nominee categories here, but with our own little twist on it. Not the exactly the Oscar.
We're not constrained to the Academy's rules.
Yeah, we're not stuffy old men.
Nominees or categories and specifics.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're going to start. I'm taking a movie from 1993, and I'm giving White Man Can't Jump basketball-related comedy of the year.
Yeah. I'm also myself. I'm going half-baked.
All right, we won't go that crazy, but we'll stick with movies of 2019. However, we've got our own awards, and we think some of your nominations were bullshit.
Yeah, exactly.
So we got our own peeps.
So this is kind of a closer look meets a game time.
Yeah, that's true. We should have probably played the game time song.
All right, fire her up. No, we ain't playing.
Got earn that EGOT, goddammit.
That's right. We're playing them all.
I just gave you a Grammy, you son of a bitch. Play. But
here comes an IMDb. But, so just kind of like we were saying, kind of our own little categories here. And I guess to just to really kick it off, just give you a real good idea for what we're talking about here. Here are the nominees for Best Horror Movies of 2019.
Yes, Best Horror Movie. A flock of movies, I guess we just brought up a little bit with us, but a flock of movies that gets no respect by the Academy, but everybody watches them, everybody loves them.
There's always the one that sneaks in, i.e. like Get Out. Was always like spooky, but it wasn't even a scary movie. But that's just the snuffy old people,
psychedelic thrillers, unquote.
But to the Academy, they're like, "Ooh, scary movie! It's the first one out there."
No, for sure. But they're always getting snubbed by the Academy. A little bit of respect on the Geeked Up show. So for the 2019 horror movie of the year.
There's a few on the category.
Who are our nominees? I guess we've already talked about Us as a nominee.
Us for sure is on there. Again, much like the Academy kind of, because it wasn't really a spooky movie too much. It was kind of, again, a thriller. But I'll say with the two obvious ones and two Stephen King sequels, I would say Dr. Sleep, the sequel to The Shining. Course. And, of course, It 2, the sequel to The Stand. No, the sequel to It.
Yeah, the very anticlimactic sequel to the smash hit that was Stranger Things. But the sequel the sequel with the adults and the crazy old lady, kind of shitty. Yeah. And by nowhere near the worldwide smash hit that It #1 was.
Well, it's a nominee, goddammit.
Although Dr. Sleep, way better than The Shining. So
famously,
Stephen King wins again.
And then, of course, like we said, we have Us on there. Annabelle Comes Home. Another one about this scary doll that keeps popping up. Of course, this one seems pretty obvious, but Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Based
I
off...
gotta know. How about Ma's house?
Whose
that was
house?
kind of, I think it was maybe it was just
Ma's
called
house.
Ma,
I
but
think it was called
it appeared
Ma.
to be Get Out, but with a black chick
And teenagers.
instead.
Yeah.
like
Ma's
I never got to see Ma's house, but
Is that with
we'll throw
that's
that
with
in
Martin
there.
Lawrence, right? He's playing Ma, Big Ma.
Well, I guess Martin Lawrence can be the can read us the nomination, and the motherfucking award go to.
So I guess I would say the award for me, my pick would be I'm going Us, only because it's pretty much not the only not pile of shit that's on there, as horror movies tend to be.
We're giving it a unanimous Geeked Up. I'm going Us too.
Yeah, okay.
So both of
Us
us.
too, the sequel?
Yeah, I guess that'll be the sequel. But both of us are taking Us as really being the only legitimate horror movie of the year.
Close runner-up, Ma's House.
Yeah, seriously. The bronze statue goes, or the silver statue goes to Ma's house, but
Big Ma's House.
yeah, Big Ma's house.
Big Ma's House.
That was the one with Martin.
Martin Lawrence, that's what I'm saying. So I guess then the next category in the Geeked Up Oscars would be best. The nominees now for best useless reboot.
Yes, the very prestigious best unnecessary reboot category goes to another flock of movies totally snubbed by the Academy
Yeah.
for some reason, but
And a lot of
beloved
big
here in the
actors,
Geeked Up
you know?
show.
A lot of big '90s actors, of
Especially
course.
this year.
Yeah, of course.
I guess leading the way with my personal fave, but T6 Dark Fate.
Another Terminator movie.
Leader in the clubhouse.
Which is another hilarious one because now they have to start writing in like why Terminator is old.
I know.
Like I'm old now, we age.
But this was, of course, the one like the whole gang's back. Mine, except for they sold me a bill of goods on Edward Furlong.
Yeah, dude.
I watched that movie 6 goddamn times. I still haven't seen him. However, James Cameron, who gives a shit about James Cameron? I want Edward Furlong. Goddammit.
Yeah, really the question is where is Edward Furlong? No one could find him.
But Sarah Connor is back.
yeah, she's back in it. I guess if you're going Terminator, you got to mention, of course, the other '90s Bash brother, but Rambo.
Oh yeah,
Last Blood.
Rambo Last Blood.
Last Blood.
Unfortunately, much like Endgame and Rise of Skywalker, we get an end of an era as Rambo Last Blood.
This is the last one, I promise. It's the Last Blood.
I guess another one we could have thrown in the horror movies, but Pet Sematary, unnecessary reboot. I mean,
Oh yeah, true. It is a reboot. I guess one more we could throw in that could have been in the horror movie one, but for best reboot is the Child's Play reboot.
Okay,
The
yes.
Return
I
of
forgot
Chucky.
there was another. There was Chucky too as well. I forgot.
Chucky came back, and we've talked about it before. Do you know who the voice was for the original Chucky? Was the doctor from Deadwood? Is
nice.
the original voice of Chucky? Now it's Luke Skywalker
I
himself,
was gonna
Mark
say,
Hamill.
This time they got a high budget, big name actor, big Hollywood name attached to the project.
No,
Mark
they
Hamill
got
playing
Mark
Chucky.
Hamill. And then, because of course, another in the category because it's literally in the title of the movie. But Jane Silent Bob, get rebooted.
And I'm gonna cut out any drama. I'm going there. Geeked Up unnecessary reboot of the year goes to Jay and Silent Bob.
And I would say another unanimous decision here at the Geeked Up Studios. Of course, Snooch to the Booch.
And only because I didn't see this one, so I couldn't and I couldn't in good faith give it to Rambo or Terminator, which I did see. So by my exclusion of seeing this, I award it the film.
Yeah, also agreed. That movie came out and went away
But I'm actually
so quick, by
we
the way.
talked about it on the winter preview, but I'm actually waiting to see it at one of the live shows.
Yeah,
They're traveling in New York, so
It's always fun to
we'll
see.
give you an update, a Geeked Up update soon.
Big fat Kevin Smith talk about having a heart attack, and big skinny Jason Mewes talk about not doing heroin anymore.
Oh, you've seen that live show already.
Yeah. You mean the fat man, the heroin addict? It's literally the only traveling show they do. Coming in hot then, and this is one I'm saying it should be a category in the goddamn Oscars. They're really missing their mark on this one. If you're not going to make it a best picture, throw it in there, but we're going best comic movie.
Best comic book movie, yes. Again, we talked about it a little earlier. Finally, we thought Black Panther was finally knocking down some racial barriers amongst us comic book Americans. However, this year, nada. And that's how we speak. Don't disrespect our language. Though we say wacky shit like nada. And but never any respect or love from the Academy, although fucking they're the only movies that the American public ever goes to see.
Yeah.
So
Big
us here
time,
on the
man.
Geeked Up Podcast, we're giving a little bit of love to the comic book movies. They're giving something back to the people. And I guess this year we've already talked about the big two, The Irishman and Once Upon a Time of the list.
That's right.
Endgame and Rise of Skywalkers, Marvel and Star Wars.
Both owned by Disney.
Both owned by Disney now. I guess really as well, in all honesty, Endgame is kind of like the end of season 1 of Marvel, because a lot of these characters are going to be coming back and everything. The story
Some
will
of them are coming
continue
back, but
in
yeah, a lot of them are
ways.
done here. The big players are out. Like we said, no more Iron Man, no more Captain America.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the original
Changing
people
the
too
guard,
are just
but, like,
making TV shows on Disney Plus now. Like, they're not even like so much the movies.
It's true. But so they went out with the bang with the Endgame, I guess. Another one of the Marvel movies, though, we got to put on the list. Spider-Man 2: Far From Home.
Fantastic.
Was another Spider-Man classic.
Yeah, it was great. It was just as good. It had the dorky friends with them.
Yeah, for sure.
Fat kid was
Chinese
back.
kid, but this time he's in England, being hilarious. So
Yeah, and pulling down some poon too.
I mean, he's getting to the point where he's 15. So
Yeah.
you're gonna.
He's feeling things. Of course, you can't talk about comic book movies. And this one could have fallen in an unnecessary reboot, but Hellboy!
Oh,
The
yes.
big fat sheriff from Stranger Things.
That's true. I forgot about Hellboy.
Hellboy was in there, of course.
Well, how about should we throw in the Joker?
I mean, I guess.
I mean, I guess even though it refuses to admit that it's a comic book movie,
Yeah.
you ripped all you. I saw fucking Batman's mom pearls going down the fucking alley.
Yeah, you're getting in this one. So, yeah, then I guess, of course, we might as well throw it in. X-Men Dark Phoenix is another one that was a comic book movie that was out. It was pretty shitty. It was, like, blasted by, like, all fans. But, again, pulled in, like, $700 million. And, like, everyone watched it, hated it, and, like, saw it
And they'll
again.
go see it again.
Yeah. But I guess my pick, and I think it's going to be the unanimous decision for both of us here, but Hellboy! No, Avengers Endgame, of course. That was the fucking...
Yeah, I mean, as much as I liked Spider-Man 2, Star Wars and Endgame are really the two big ones here. And in all honesty, I just felt that Star Wars was a decent movie, a good, fun action movie, but not a good...
Yeah, and you hear us talk
exclamation
about the
point, like-
winter movie preview, too.
Yeah,
It's,
for sure. It was not the big exclamation point, so I felt I walked out of Star Wars not feeling as strong, not feeling as happy as I did when I walked out of Endgame.
Yeah,
So
I felt
I'm
complete in Endgame. And plus, Spider-Man was great, too. Spider-Man's in this.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, much like Black Panther, he's in this one, too.
That's true. So you can see your Spider-Man, you can see your Black Panther, as well as every other character from every one of these fucking movies for the last 20 years.
So, yeah, so far, unanimous all around. But before we go any farther in the show, it's time to honor the Man of the Year of this year's 2020 Oscars. The big Man of the Year award, of course, is going to nobody else other than Mr. Stephen Root.
Stephen Root.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be a hope. Stephen Root. Yeah, it's gonna be a hope. Stephen Root. Yeah, it's gonna be a hope.
Yes, and that was the annual tradition where we give the Man of the Year recipient to Stephen Root.
Stephen Root. Unfortunately, Stephen Root couldn't be here tonight, so we will accept it on his behalf. Next year, we keep sending the invites out. We really thought this was
he
going to be
crushed
the
it
year.
once again this year. He's crushed it in Bombshell.
He did.
He's crushed it in Barry.
And it's really just a look back of all his work. We'll take our 2 hours now to go through Stephen Root's entire catalog. And I'll throw one movie that he wasn't in there, and Liam will try and guess which one it was. But no, just really, the Man of the Year award, Stephen Root, you know.
As always.
To everything you do out
Geeked Up
there.
Man of the Year, Stephen Root.
Here's a pan shot
Thanks
for you,
for being
bud.
you.
Here's the golden stapler. Going on with the show now. I guess it's time to get in some of the Oscars traditional categories.
Yeah,
starting off, of course, with the Best Supporting Actress, all right?
Yeah, Best Supporting Actress, one of the a loaded field of Oscar contenders, I'd say. So we got Kathy Bates, like we mentioned. We got Margot Robbie, a big star.
Margot Robbie,
both Ethan Hawke's daughter and Uma Thurman's daughter. I'm throwing them in there from Once Upon a Time.
All right,
a little sleazy 16-year-old that wanted to blow Brad Pitt. I'm throwing her in as supporting actress.
That's fair. I'm going to throw in because...
In all honesty, she was the supporting actress of that movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I go, Margot lead. Who else is fucking in the...
I would say BB-8 from Star Wars, Rise of Skywalker.
Okay, that's your winner, BB-8?
Yeah, it's beeping around a lot. There's no one to say that she's not BB-8's not a girl, right?
That's true, yeah, for sure.
I would also throw out Suri, Black Panther's sister from Endgame, and also
that's true. Yes, Black Panther's sister was in Endgame too. So
correct.
She's always a favorite for.
And I would throw out Brie Olson again for Captain Marvel in Avengers Endgame. So those are some of the Oscar nominees, some of the Geeked Up nominees. I would say my choice just blew it out of the water, and especially for being in the final chapter of a 9-part series, but BB-8 by far taking the award down.
I mean, since we can't confirm she's a man, I'll throw her in the actress category.
Yeah. And she's my pick. She would be my pick for. I wanted to roll out of the stage, see how she's going to roll away with that award.
Okay, all right. I see where you're going there, and I might perhaps stay in the same galaxy.
Okay,
but I'm gonna give it. It's gonna be a very kind of sad and tender moment as on stage, as I'm giving my Best Supporting Actress to the posthumous Princess Leia, who's no longer with us, although somehow dominated Rise of Skywalker, but. She was definitely was in enough scenes and played a big enough role to be the supporting actress of Rise of Skywalker.
Now I kind of feel like an asshole for wedging BB-8 in there. But I'm sticking with it. Great performance.
Yeah.
Trained by no other than R2-D2, of course. And all the beeps and blips. All right, that's a good one. So then that would lead us to Best Supporting Actor.
All right, Best Supporting Actor, and I guess we've already talked a lot about this.
The 3 Ps.
About this category early being one of the real spotlight categories. The 3 Ps.
The 3 Ps, of course.
I'm actually going to throw another P in there. That was a total snub, all right, but Robert Pattinson, Lighthouse.
Okay.
Not nominated. Great performance. And I'm throwing him in there for a nominee that was overlooked by the Academy.
Okay. Kind of sticking with where I was going. Both the 2 actors from Star Wars, both Poe, Finn, and I guess I would say a third, Chewbacca, of course. 3 supporting actors. And then I kind of have a few more, and this one might take me a minute, but I'm going to go with some more Best Supporting Actors, really killing the fields, but Chris Hemsworth for Avengers Endgame. I would say Chris Evans for Avengers Endgame. I would say Mark Ruffalo for Avengers Endgame. I would say Tom Hiddleston for Avengers Endgame. I would say the kid that plays Spider-Man for Avengers Endgame.
Yeah, all right, that was
I would say
Thanos from Avengers.
Paul Rudd
I'm
from Avengers
the
Endgame.
Thanos here, and
Josh Brolin from Avengers Endgame. Literally,
But, all right,
the
so who's
entire
the actual-
male cast besides Robert Downey Jr. It gets my award. I could say Chris Evans from Avengers Endgame. Captain America himself is my official pick here.
All right.
Best Supporting Actor.
I'm going Brad Pitt from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. No, I think that Brad Pitt was like we talked about earlier, really carried that movie in a lot of ways. I felt that he was, strong enough to be the lead, and I feel that he's going to get some Oscar spotlight and recognition, so I'm going Brad Pitt.
You're right. I'm changing mine. Mark Ruffalo, Professor Hulk. Really changed the character around from what we know him as. Took his own spin on it. Took a chance as an actor and totally owned it. So Mark Ruffalo.
So we're switching from Chris Evans to Mark Ruffalo for
anyone could play Captain America. Nobody could play a boring version of Hulk.
Yeah, nobody
like
could make
Mark
Hulk
Ruffalo
significantly worse, but.
So that get us into the top tier of the event now. So Of course, that's going to start with best leading actress in these movies. And kicking off that would be Cynthia Erivo and Harriet.
Okay, Chick from Harriet. I guess that's another movie that we haven't mentioned. When you're starring in a Harriet Tubman biopic, you got to expect you're going to get yourself nominated.
Yeah, I don't think nominated for anything else either.
Yeah, I don't think the movie. I was kind of surprised at how little attention it got. In all honesty,
For
just
sure.
being in like such a great subject matter for a big biopic. So little surprising that little surprising that she had such a good performance, but yet the movie kind of went nowhere, so
Yeah, exactly.
don't know
Yeah, the
exactly
movie,
don't exactly know what happened there, but
And then, as mentioned before, Scarlett Johansson for Marriage Story. And then,
as well as Saoirse Ronan, I'd
Thank
say.
you. I was going to say that one, Saoirse Ronan.
From Little Women, she's like seems to be kind of has that golden touch with everything she does. She's so beloved. I would not be at all surprised to see Saoirse Ronan standing on stage in front of the Academy giving the award anyway.
And then Charlize Theron from Bombshell. Renee Zellweger snuck in for Judy.
Some big star power there. Renee Zellweger,
And I guess there's
Charlize
another
Theron.
one too. If you're making a movie where you're playing Judy Garland, you probably expect you're getting an Oscar nom out there.
For real.
And then, of course, I'm adding to the list Daisy Ridley for playing Rey in Star Wars. Episode 9. So I guess my pick then would be, I guess I got to keep it straight this time and say Scarlett Johansson for sure, because she killed it. Not really so much in Divorce Story or Marriage Story, but playing Black Widow in Avengers Endgame, baby. So Scarlett Johansson for sure stood out in a real boys club there. Was definitely the lead actress in that film.
Yeah, I mean, she was definitely the lead actress.
So much
and
so,
the star
she's
of
getting her
Glam.
own movie.
Yeah, she's got her own spin-off coming up. So worthy. Interestingly enough, I'm also going Scarlett Johansson.
All right.
However, I don't agree with the Academy that she was the supporting actress in Jojo Rabbit. So I'm going Scarlett Johansson as the best lead actress of this movie. Because in all honesty, I mean, the story might have been a little bit more about or focused around the young girl in the attic upstairs. However, the Scarlett Johansson character was a lot more important to the movie, and she did a lot more job carrying a lot of the weight for most of that movie, and really was a lot more of a focal point. You know what I mean? So I'm going Scarlett Johansson, Jojo Rabbit. Best actress.
Scarlett Johansson, Avengers Endgame. So
All right,
kind
so
of
we
a
both got
unanimous.
Scarlett Johansson. Yeah.
Either way,
Another,
congratulations, Scarlett. Bringing us to the lead actor category. So again, we talked about this earlier, but a lot of big ones in here. We got one we haven't talked about at all, Antonio Banderas for Pain and Glory.
Yes.
Which is, I don't know anything about that movie. I believe
That's
it's at
the one with
Netflix.
Antonio Banderas. That's the one with Antonio Banderas.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah,
of
no, I
course.
think you're right. I think it actually is a Netflix.
Another Netflix one in there. Then, of course, another Netflix one, Jonathan Pryce for The Two Poops. Joaquin Phoenix for Joker. Adam Driver for Marriage Story. And Leonardo DiCaprio for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yes. And we already talked about it a little bit earlier, but Leo did an amazing job in Once Upon a Time. I really did feel as much as I did not like the Joker, I did feel that Joaquin Phoenix did an amazing job.
For sure.
I would not be at all surprised to see him win, and definitely would not be, feel undeserving if Joaquin did win Best Picture. As well, a couple ones that weren't mentioned. I guess we threw it in there, but I'm nominating Sandler from Uncut Gems.
Okay.
All right, as well as Hilarious Fatso from Richard Jewell. I'm giving nominations for. All right. Whatever the fuck that guy's name is, but
Maybe even this in the hilarious name category again. Richard Jewell.
But I'm going for my actor of the year. Another actually guy not nominated, snubbed by the Academy, and I brought up his co-star actually in the supporting actor.
Martin Lawrence?
Shocked that neither one of these guys got nominated, but literally I'm going actor of the year. Willem Dafoe in The Lighthouse.
Okay.
All right. Plays a crazy old psychedelic sailor. Not even sure if he was real. Because what the fuck happened in that goddamn movie? However, him and Robert Pattinson are like the only two characters. Totally carried the movie. He's got a badass like Irish sailor accent.
Great.
Amazing beard. And a really, really great standout performance by Willem Dafoe. Out of all of the other great performances, I'd say maybe number 2, I'd go Leo in Once Upon a Time.
All right, interesting.
But for me, as well as the main guy in Parasite, did a great job. But I really felt that like the single best performance when I walked out of there, and I was like, damn, that was fucking badass, was Willem Dafoe in The Lighthouse. And shocked he was not nominated, by the way.
See, now, again, I'm going to go more traditional. Well, you would think I would go more traditional on this one and say Adam Driver from Star Wars Episode 9, not Marriage Story. And he was a top contender. But I'm going to go in with my write-in ballot and say, you guessed it, Robert Downey Jr. for Avengers Endgame. And this one, not so much for just a laughing point, but fucking this is the guy that kicked off the whole Marvel universe too, you know what I mean? That literally like the drawing factor. Like if that first Iron Man movie would have sucked, fucking none of these movies would have like
That's so true.
been made.
And honestly,
like,
he really has been the linchpin of the movies, and like
for
has,
sure.
Somehow when it came out, like gave it legitimacy. Him being part of it,
absolutely,
like, he
it
really
was
has
his big comeback into acting.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Really, this is
and
the
his
last one.
personality in those movies kind of did set the tone for like how lighthearted
Yeah,
they
absolutely,
are.
they
And whatnot.
did.
Like,
and he killed it. Like he owned that role. Nobody else could have played that.
I mean, the dramatic send off of
Tom Hanks. You know,
but they would never have agreed to fucking do a comic movie. But no, but you're right. The dramatic send off of Robert Downey Jr. was honestly it brought a tear to a man.
Yeah.
that was sitting there in cosplay. So if that's got to get you something, and if the Academy's not going to recognize it. That's what we got D. Barnes for. But.
Yeah, so Robert Downey Jr., hands down winner, best actor.
See, I was wondering why you said earlier anybody but him for the supporting actor.
Oh, yeah, no.
I should have seen it coming. That was classic foreshadowing.
He might be a junior in his family's eyes, but he's a senior, all right, to me. He's number 1. Bring us to, of course, our Best Director category. And we got some big ones here. As we discussed earlier, of course, Scorsese for The Irishman, Tarantino for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Bong Joon-ho for Parasite and Funny Name, Sam Mendes for 1917, and Todd Phillips for The Hangover. I mean, The Joker. So, of course, a lot of big ones.
I'm throwing not mentioned. I'm throwing Ed Norton, Motherless Brooklyn in there.
Okay.
As well, I'm throwing Tatiki Wakiki for best name
For sure.
and I guess we'll throw director as well, but mostly best name. But as well, both those guys definitely deserve a shout out for the nominations, like we mentioned earlier.
I'm throwing in myself, Greta Gerwig. I'm just kidding. I'm throwing in J.J. Abrams for Star Wars Episode 9 and the Russo brothers for Avengers Endgame. But I guess this one, if I seriously had to pick one, I would go Tarantino for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This one I'm keeping it because I want him to fucking win.
For sure.
I want him to take this one
For
down.
sure. We've talked a lot about it. I bet I was the sentimental favorite, but as well, it was a great movie. 2.5, 3 hours, really intense, although not much happened. So much of that was built around like Tarantino's writing, and the acting performances were great, but just the so much about that movie was just great, beautiful to look at. The writing and dialogue was great for it to be that intense without really anything happening. The big crazy twist at the end gets you all, but all excited. But as well, it was like another reinvention of Tarantino, coming at you from like a different genre of movie. He's done Kung Fu, he's done Mobster, now he's doing slow-paced drama. The man does it all, and like we said, finally a chance to get a little bit of recognition in the Academy.
Absolutely. And as much as I'd love to say the Russo brothers for Avengers Endgame, it's got to be Tarantino.
Yeah, for
sure.
sure.
It just has to be.
And again, as well for the sentimental favorite factor.
Bring us to the moment you've been waiting for all night. the best film category. You've heard us break them all down, but just to run through them one more time, we got Ford versus Ferrari. We have The Irishman. We have Jojo Rabbit, The Joker, Little Women, Marriage Story, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Parasite. Those are the big ones.
That's what the Academy has. The Geeked Up Show, on the other hand, has taken a couple off those lists for you.
You've knocked a couple off, and I'll give you 2 guesses what 2 movies I'm adding on. That would be Star Wars Episode 9 and, of course, Avengers Endgame.
And I'm adding, I guess, I'll add one on as well. And
Little Women's already on there.
And I'll give you my official pick, Cats. Made the cut. Made the cut with the Christmas release. And I'm going Cats. No, but in all honesty, I am. I'm giving you for my picture of the year, and I'm being 100% sincere in this. As I'm giving you a write-in, but I'm giving you Motherless Brooklyn as my 2019 Big LW Geeked Up Oscar goes to Motherless Brooklyn for my book. It really was just the movie that I left the theater just really feeling that I enjoyed the most movie in a lot of different ways, where it was a great, fun mystery crime tale, as well as just a really, interesting story, thought-provoking, one you to research a little bit more on the subject, and it was just like came at you from a lot of different ways. It was a fun world to throw you in, different great performances, just really, for me, the most enjoyable movie that I saw all year. I guess for me, the other kind of close contenders would be Jojo Rabbit and Parasite. Probably 1 and 2, as well as Once Upon a Time. Mm-hmm. I feel those were probably the best movies of the year. However, for me, my favorite of the year, not even recognized by the Academy, but I thought Motherless Brooklyn was the best movie that I saw this entire year. So I'm giving it the 2019 Geeked Up, my half of the Oscar.
And I guess, since you threw it out there, I gotta go Cats, right? The movie was terrifying, hilarious, heartwarming. But no, of course I'm going, and again, not all just for jokes, but Avengers Endgame, again, I'm throwing out there, is my pick. Loved all these movies, but to be completely honest, the movie I left smiling the most at and had the most fun was Avengers Endgame. I fucking love these characters. I host a goddamn podcast called the Geeked Up Podcast. This whole thing started with me having a boner about the second Avengers movie trailer. Fucking, I love these movies. And in the vein of all these movies being like 3 hours, 3.5 hours, I think Avengers was 240, something like that. I could have sat there for another hour, man, and watched more of this shit. I fucking love these. I fucking love these movies. And again, just because I'm the only one, well, I'm not the only one, but they just snub such like a severe snub and get made fun of by the film elites. Fuck you. These movies are great.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just like what exactly is the standard of voting? And just like me and Devin said, these are the movies that we just enjoyed the most. That's the idea of, you're making a movie. The idea is to have people enjoy 100%. It. The people that did the best job in our books were Avengers Endgame for Devin, Ed Norton, Motherless Brooklyn for me, and a lot of the other movies were great. Those were just like the 2 movies that we found most enjoyable.
Absolutely. If I had to pick off the list, though, Ford versus Ferrari.
What do you think, if you had to give the actual pick of what you think that the Oscars are going now?
What I think
what do you think will win on Oscar
if
on Oscar night?
I wanted to go with my heart, I would say, obviously Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I have the strangest feeling, and I was wrong last year because I really thought Bo Rap was going to take it, but I have this really, really odd feeling that Jojo Rabbit might walk away with this whole thing, man. I just
well deserved.
Don't know why I do, but I just think it has the right. Yeah, it was a great movie, and it just has that right thing. The Academy is kind of, I think,
I don't know, but does it is the Academy looking for a movie where like Hitler is a main character?
Kind of. I feel like kind of because it's like such
this movie's
like
banned, like literally banned in lots of countries, and I guess the whole like making a comedic light out of like those kind of like Death of Stalin.
And plus, he's like Jewish, like his like grandfather was like a Holocaust survivor or something.
No,
like
for
that,
sure,
you know
but it's
what
just like a lot of movies.
What a bigger fuck you to Hitler than like having like this Jewish guy
for sure.
director.
No, I mean, hey,
playing.
believe me, I'm just saying that I was probably
It's like
on this
opposite
book,
blackface. You know what I mean?
like on the list of the movies recognized by the Academy. I feel it was the best. You know what I mean? I'm going to pick Parasite to actually win come Oscar night. Okay. I just don't necessarily think that a movie that some countries are gonna like totally ban, and it's just like, I don't know. It's in some ways I hope I'm wrong, and they do recognize Jojo Rabbit. I just got a feeling that the Academy might not, fully embrace this movie. Whereas if they go for Parasite, it's a foreign film. It's you know what I mean, totally deserving.
I don't know if
It
foreign
also
film will
is, like,
win, man. Just because Roma didn't win, I think Best Director, maybe Parasite.
Yeah.
But I don't see Parasite winning.
As well, Parasite
I
really
could
does
see
very much
Irishman
deal with
winning.
like the social. It's like socially relevant. It's like all about the haves and have-nots and like class divide and like
Yeah, for
that's
sure.
so much that's like going on in the world now. That's like so much what this movie is about. Is like the whole
That's true, like
class
the middle
war.
class, lower
yeah,
class, yeah.
like that's what this movie is. Like the whole essence of this movie is like class war. So it's really a reflection of the times. I think the fact that it's like a foreign movie is going to give it a little bit of a hit factor.
For
And I
sure.
just don't think that.
But isn't Jojo Rabbit technically a foreign movie?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but I just, again, the only thing with Jojo Rabbit is I just don't see.
Yeah.
It's literally just like way too the use
agree.
of
I
all
think
of
we've
the
just-
like Springtime for Hitler and Death of Stalin and other movies that kind of like tiptoe in that making comedy out of the Holocaust or other tragedies from that era. Have kind of, they just didn't go as over the top with like the references. You know what I mean? Like,
I
there's,
get it.
you know what I mean? Like kids,
Well, Springtime
suicide
and Hitler
bombing
for sure
Americans,
does, but that's
you know
like
what
the
I mean?
play inside of the producer.
No, yeah, so I'm saying it's like other, you know what I mean? Like, it isn't the first time that like anybody's ever joked about the subject.
Yeah,
However,
yeah.
they do it pretty like gratuitous. Like, it's way in your face.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
So
I
it's
get
like,
that.
I just don't know if the that's my
Well, only
one
time
thing holding it back.
will tell, I guess, who walks away with the golden statue, the big Oscar. Only one man walked away with the golden stapler, and of course that was the man of the year, Stephen Root. I guess those are our official picks. We are now off to the post-Oscar after parties. We, of course, are going to the one that Stephen Root will be DJing at.
Yeah, midnight set.
Playing with the
from,
Roots.
the Roots crew.
The Roots crew.
Stephen Root with
Featuring
his backing band, the Roots.
The Roots.
WEFUNK. We funk.